Welcome back. Breaking news from Wall Street is that DeepSeek AI shakes up the US stock market. Tech stocks are crashing and Nvidia plummets 17%.
Starting off with a steep sell-off in stock futures, the Nasdaq headed for a nearly $1 trillion market cap loss if declines hold into the open. This is off the back of the release of a China-based AI chatbot, DeepSeek, that rivals ChatGPT while touting a lower cost.
The youngest self-made billionaire in the world.
Thanks for having me on.
I want to go straight to what we were just talking about off camera, which is the idea of where the US is on AI versus China, because you have some very surprising statistics that I think will probably, frankly, freak out some of the viewers.
So, yeah.
Remember, this was last week, and then today the stocks are down.
First of all, the AI race and the AI war between US and China, I think, is one of the most important issues of today. We took out a full-page ad on the Washington Post on Tuesday saying that, America must win the AI war. And so this sort of relative race in AI between the US and China is critical. Today, we released Humanity's Last Exam, which is a new evaluation or benchmark of AI models that we produced by getting, math, physics, biology, chemistry professors to provide the hardest questions they could possibly imagine that are relevant to their recent research to really put the test to the models. To give you a sense, no model is getting above 10% on this test. That being said, what we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing, or roughly on par with the best American models, which are O1 from...
Okay, so I think
Welcome back. Breaking news from Wall Street is that DeepSeek AI shakes up the US stock market. Tech stocks are crashing and Nvidia plummets 17%. The release of DeepSeek's low-cost AI model has had a significant impact on US stocks, especially the tech sector. As of January 27, 2025, and today, the Nasdaq Composite index is down 3.5%, and the CBOE Volatility Index, often referred to as Wall Street's fear gauge, surged to 21.5%. A company from China known as DeepSeek has released what they call the DeepSeek R1, which is now live and open source. Remember, all other models are sort of closed source, but this is the first open source model, and they've been able to do this with a fraction of the cost, about 3% of OpenAI's cost, which is something about $6 million. We can see that Nvidia is still down 17%. We also have Micron Technology, which is another semiconductor company. It's down 13.41%. And we have other semiconductor companies such as Broadcom, Micron. We have ARM down 11%. We have Broadcom down 17%. These are major significant losses, with declines ranging from 7% all the way to 20%. Now, the mega cap tech firms such as Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta are also down in some aspects. We have a heat map here from Yahoo Finance of all the stocks. You can see Microsoft is down 2.5%. Nvidia is still down 17%. Amazon is down about 0.5%. Let's go back to Broadcom right here, 19.24%. And also we have Oracle. Remember, Oracle is one of the technology partners of the recently announced Project Stargate last week by President Trump. Oracle is down 14.68%. These are major losses on all these indices. Now, I did mention something known as the CBOE Volatility Index. This is an index that Wall Street uses to measure the fear when they have fear in the stock market or the stocks are not doing well. This is up 21.48%. The last time we saw these numbers, this surge in the volatility index, was around the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let's take a look at some of the DeepSeek V3 capabilities. And these are the benchmarks used to compare DeepSeek V3 versus Llama 3.1 by Facebook, Claude 3.5 by Anthropic, and GPT-4o by OpenAI. And it goes across different benchmarks, categories. We have English, code, and math. And if we jump over to this other screen, we have the different categories of English, code, math, and Chinese. If you look at, for instance, some of the code categories, we have Human Eval MUL, which tests multiple task programming challenges. we have Live Code Bench, which assesses chain of thought reasoning in live coding tasks. The Code Forces also evaluates competitive programming performance. And also we have Code SWE Verified, which is a software engineering verified metric or category, which measures resolved tasks in software engineering related benchmarks. And we also have some math benchmarks. For instance, we have Math 500 EM, which is tests for accuracy in solving complex math problems, as well as Math CNMO 2024, which is a Chinese National Math Olympiad benchmark that evaluates problem solving in math competition settings. Now, if you go back to the comparison scores, the benchmarks, you can see right here, in terms of math, for instance, AME 2024, DeepSeek V3 is at 39.2% compared to OpenAI's 9.3% or 9.3%. Okay, look at the other code benchmarks. For instance, Code Forces percentile is at 51.6, and OpenAI is at 23.6, and Claude is at 20.3%. If you look at SWE verified benchmark, this one is actually much lower. We can see that Claude 3.5 beats DeepSeek, but in most of all these other benchmarks, if you look at English, for instance, we have 89.1% for MMLU Redux. If you look at that, this is a revised version of MMLU with enhanced focus on edge case tasks. So all these different benchmarks, essentially it's far more superior than what we've been led to believe about the Chinese AI models. We have the Scale AI CEO Alexander Wang, who spoke to CNBC at the sidelines of the World Economic Forum. He had this to say just last week about the impact of the AI models or the advancements of AI in China compared to the US, where we felt that the US is not really advancing or moving as fast as they should. Let's see what Scale AI CEO Alexander Wang had to say about the Chinese advancements in AI.
The youngest self-made billionaire in the world. Pretty amazing.
Thanks for having me on.
I want to go straight to what we were just talking about off camera, which is the idea of where the US is on AI versus China, because you have some very surprising statistics that I think will probably, frankly, freak out some of the viewers.
So, yeah.
Remember, this was last week, and then today the stocks are down.
First of all, the AI race and the AI war between US and China, I think, is one of the most important issues of today. We took out a full-page ad on the Washington Post on Tuesday saying that, America must win the AI war. And so this sort of relative race in AI between the US and China is critical. Today, we released Humanity's Last Exam, which is a new evaluation or benchmark of AI models that we produced by getting, math, physics, biology, chemistry professors to provide the hardest questions they could possibly imagine that are relevant to their recent research to really put the test to the models. To give you a sense, no model is getting above 10% on this test. That being said, what we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing, or roughly on par with the best American models, which are O1 from...
Okay, so I think we have been all under the impression that the US was way ahead of China as it relates to AI, in large part because we have access to, Nvidia GPUs and chips and other things that supposedly the Chinese do not have. I keep hearing from people all week, from people, Chinese AI executives, that they say, we're so close, and by the way, we're doing it with one hand tied behind our back, our algos are better, we're actually going to figure out how to do this, do it better than the US, and in even a more energy efficient way, because we don't need these super powerful chips. Are they happy to be right?
There's two things happening. First, it is true, it has been true for a long time that the United States has been ahead. And that's been true for, maybe the past decade. That being said, the very recent event on Christmas Day, about a month ago, DeepSeek released a model which, by the way, I think is symbolic that the Chinese lab releases, an earth-shattering model on Christmas Day when, the rest of us are sort of celebrating the holiday. And they released it to much fanfare, and then they followed up with their reasoning model, DeepSeek R1, which is the one that we evaluated as top of the leaderboard. The reality is yes and no. So, the Chinese labs, they have more H100s than people think.
And these are the highest powered Nvidia chips that they were not supposed to have.
Yes. My understanding is that DeepSeek has about 50,000 H100s, which they can't talk about, obviously, because it is against the export controls that the United States has put in place. And I think it is true that, I think they have more chips than other people expect, but also on a go-forward basis, they are going to be limited by the chip controls and the export controls that we have in place.
How do you, you work with everybody, so I don't know if it's fair or unfair, but how do you stack rank these large language models and who ultimately is going to be a winner? Or are they all so close and it gets commoditized?
The interesting thing that we see right now, so we actually specialize in this. We've produced our SEAL evaluations, our safety evaluations and alignment labs, evaluations which measure across many different dimensions. We measure across math capabilities, coding capabilities, multilingual capabilities, and reasoning capabilities, and many different dimensions, including tool use and agent capabilities. And what we see is different models are better at different things. So it's hard to put a clear stack ranking among all the models. For example, the OpenAI models are extremely good at reasoning, but the Anthropic models make it really good at code. And sort of there's a diversity of capabilities of the models. That being said, I think what we're seeing in general is the space is becoming more competitive, not less competitive.
So there we have it. You heard it from Skill AI CEO Alexander Wang. He says that we need to unleash US energy to enable AI boom. And as we have it today, the stock market is down significantly. Nvidia leading the pack. Other semiconductors are also down. And the reason is that DeepSeek is far more superior than all the industry leaders have thought. So I think this puts a pause in terms of how we see and how we go forward in terms of how do we innovate, how do we become AI dominant leader in this space. And that's just my take, and we'll see how the stock market does tomorrow. And that's it for me, Data Finance 365. Subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned. Peace.